tool. If you go to the initial one and you go to thumbnails, I'm pretty sure they do actually have the feature.
They do, yeah.
And if you go into more detail, you can search for specifics. I will just go to the general thumbnail. You will see something real cool while doing this browsing. So usually the ones that will catch your attention are the ones that include a human element, which most likely is going to be a person. Like this is a half body. I forgot the name in English, but it's just half body, just above the belly button on top, or the elbows. That's a good measure. The other one is super close-ups. That could be face, eyes, that could be hands, feet. It depends. In this case, you have something like this. You have, if you're talking about a look, choose focus on the body part. It's just because it's more relatable. We all humans, so if you see a feet and someone is talking about feet and you want to know more about, feet health or like shoes or whatever, if you show that, it's just gonna click, rather than just having the actual item. If you put a shoe and you're just talking about shoes, that could be also a good thing, but based on my experience, if you include the human element, the actual feet wearing the shoe, regardless of the skin color, regardless of how it looks, it's just more appealing. That's the same if you're talking about like hand jewelry, like rings or even tattoos or whatever. Just always include, instead of just like the piece of paper with the tattoo design, just include maybe an example where you can actually see that tattoo in place on the actual skin. If by any chance you cannot include anything that is human related, you can actually use big titles. I will not recommend anything longer than 4 words. I will say 3 is the sweet spot, unless you can actually get away with 2. In this case, it's just gamer strategies. That's fine. But if you have a long text, just decide which keywords are the ones that are going to be pulling more the attention. Maybe awesome thumbnails. So that's it. It doesn't matter if the title of your video is like how to create awesome thumbnails. The 2 keywords is just like awesome and thumbnails. That's it. So you don't need to like do a lot of like don't overload. Let me see what examples of what you should not be doing. This is an example of something that I wouldn't recommend. This is like too hard to read. This one as well, the raw and real, it's about contrast as well. This is a pinkish, like salmon pink, and then you have like a pale pink, and then at the back you have like kind of like a reddish white as well. It's just, there's no contrast. It's going to be so hard for YouTube. This one on the other side, or even the traditional black and white, that's going to be way better. Let me see if I can show you some examples, like real world examples. Okay. Any questions so far? Oh,
None.
Actually, Antonio has something.
Oh, okay.
So Antonio said, I found that many creators also use Sony Vegas. Would you recommend moving this to DaVinci Resolve? They do use Sony Vegas because it's easy to download and pirate. That's the only reason it's so used.
Okay.
It's not better. In my experience, it's the worst of all the top tier video editors, to be honest. I mean, it all depends. It's just a tool. I'm pretty sure someone that has been using Sony Vegas for like 10 years is going to be way better than me, that I've been using DaVinci Resolve for 3 years, let's say. But I'm pretty sure I will be way more proficient and way more like better suited on against this same person on Premiere, because I've been using Premiere for maybe 15 years. So it all depends on on the actual user. But if it's someone that is just going to start using, or they want to upgrade from, I don't know, iMovie or Movie Maker or something like that, I would recommend DaVinci Resolve, because eventually you're getting the basic tools and a bunch of extra tools, and DaVinci Resolve is the best for color grading. So maybe it's going to be too much for some creators, but if they can master that over the course of the next 2-3 years, by the time they actually get to that third year, they're going to be way better editing and using the software than before, and it's better to have this amount of tools at your disposal. That's my recommendation. Other than that, I don't know, like Sony Vegas. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend Sony Vegas. I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm pretty sure 90% of the content creators that I use in Sony Vegas is just because of that. It's easier to get for free, which is illegal. So, yeah. So the other question, do you have any software recommendation that are lightweight and easy to use for entry-level creators? If they're mobile users, because most of the new upcoming content creators, like the entry-level 5K, 10K content creators, most likely they're just using their phones or their tablets. So there's one app called LumaFusion that, as per my experience, is one of the best editing software for mobile device. LumaFusion. I'm gonna share the name in the chat. LumaFusion. That's that. No. So I'm gonna show you one of the strategies that we've seen that we think is actually working.
Is this only for iOS or also for Android?
I'm not sure if this is also available on Android, to be honest.
It seems to be only on Apple.
iOS.
But most of the creators that we work with at least use Android. Do you have any other recommendations?
Let me, on top of my mind, no. Let me see if some of the Android. Let me see if just like a quick search will just like refresh my memory, but no, I don't have like a top one for Android. In my experience, it's kind of hard to work with Android because it's so volatile. It's just like too hard, because they might say they have an Android, but it might be a lower entry iPhone, and I don't know how is it going to perform. It's kind of hard to actually recommend something that is going to be useful for everybody.
I have a suggestion, Emmanuel. I'm not sure if you would recommend it as well, but me personally, I'm using this Videoleap. I'm just VID video and then LEAP.
Videoleap,
I'm using that editing app, and it's very user friendly, and it is a free version. And if you are just doing pretty much basics and transition, it's working. I mean, it's working good for me. So
okay, what is the drawback? Like, why? I mean, it's free, but why is it free? Like, what features you're not allowed to use, or what do you get if you buy it?
If what you get when you buy it is like you will have like four overlapping images or videos, because right now on the free version there's only like 2. And also there are some images and music that are free if you buy it, but I'm just using the free version because if you buy the whole software, it's gonna cost you 3,800 for a year. There's a subscription of 1.8, but the free version is pretty much working fine if you're not gonna do much effects.
I see. Well, that's the thing. It all depends on the editing style. In my case, I will use one, two, three, maybe 4 tracks, video tracks. The first one is the baseline, which is just the basic video. The second track is going to be for V-roll or maybe just quick transitions that I need to overlay. Usually it might be like graphical effects, which can be transitions or something like that, maybe just like a text on overlay. The third one is going to be most likely a secondary layer for that specific text or layer. It might be like a glimpse or just like a circle doing an animation or something like that. And the fourth one, which I don't see a lot, is the watermark. So it's not per se like super necessary, but I've seen that I don't know, but people that see watermarks are less likely to use your content in other videos because it's so hard to remove watermarks. And you just need to have a good design in a way that is not that intrusive. It actually provides more information. In my case, I would recommend putting the logo overlay because you have an overlay over your channel if you actually activate that on YouTube, but that is not hard-coded on the video. What I like to do with the content is just put some kind of watermark. So just in case it appears on other places, usually someone will, like, if you have a large following, they might see the logo and actually do a callback like, hey, someone is using your content. Or you can also add a website if you have something like that. That also serves like as an informational watermark. That's actually a good idea. It's just like more marketing, but also protecting your content. Again, that doesn't block anyone to use your content. If they want to, they will use it, and they will just like blur it, but it's going to look awful, and it's just like another step to make everything more difficult to anyone that wants to reuse your content. So let's go to Freedom's channel so you can see some of the practices. So we have this one, which, as you can see, big text, sometimes up to 4 lines of text. This is pushing the limit a lot. 4 lines and just like 2 words per line, that's pushing it, but it just somehow worked. You can use also high contrasting text. You can use like white with some drop shadows just to create some separation, and all of that is super basic. You can just go and search. For example, I will say Affinity Photo, which is one of the best softwares that I've seen, and then drop shadow text. You have plenty of tutorials, so I will not dive into those basics because there's a lot of information in there, and most of them are kind of quick and easy to watch, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, so that's it. Going back to the question of Canva, Photopea, those two are great if you don't have any kind of income or just starting or you just want to save money. But if you want to invest in an actual app, I will recommend Affinity Photo.
Okay.
That is a $50 purchase, and it is lifetime. So that's the closest equivalent to Photoshop on a professional level. You actually are getting a lot of professional tools, and it's backed up with artist seal of confidence, and they've been getting a lot of awards and stuff. So this is the next Photoshop, and it's way easier because if you don't have the money to buy the subscription for Adobe, which is, it could be from $30 up to $60 per month. This is a great way to get a professional software that you know is going to be stable. You don't need to log into a website. It's an offline editor. So if you don't have internet by, I don't know, like any reason, you can actually keep editing your photos. And I don't know if they still have the, they used to have a 50% off because of the COVID situation, but it seems that the price went back to $50. But this is like forever. You buy it once, it's yours, and you can get all the updates lifetime. So that this is a really good investment if you actually want to have something professional. But again, yeah, go ahead.
I was about to ask, is that for multiple users? The price?
This is for one user, but I think you can actually have this piece of software installed in up to 2 machines. That means that you as a solo user, you can have it on your laptop and your desktop. The downside is that you can only have one simultaneous session open, as far as I know, but I haven't tried. I know for a fact that Adobe, that one does have this security that you need to log in. If you don't have internet access, sometimes you will not be able to use it, because if they cannot confirm that you are the actual user, you might not be able to use the app, which is why I'm trying to phase out from Adobe, because of fluctuations on internet service. So that's one of the main drawbacks on using Adobe Suite. But in this case, I wouldn't know. Like, I don't know if there's an issue if you run multiple instances at the same time. I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So going back to Canvas, this is a great place for design. If you have little to no experience, that is amazing. If you have some experience or you want to explore some kind of, editing or whatever, Affinity Photo is the best option for the price. Anything else that is not Affinity Photo, based on my experience and my research over the last 3 years, is not worth your time or your money. Even Adobe, I think, is overcharged for what they can do. So if you want to invest, this is the one.
Emmanuel,
yeah,
I have a question, because I said ideally your advice will be like 2 to 3 text on a thumbnail. What will be the ideal font size that we're sure it's gonna be read on what do you call this, even on mobile?
In this case, there's a template. I'm just gonna write this down because I can share this with you. But YouTube actually have a template with for the thumbnails, and the way we do it is, so if you see the timer in here, I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is a 5% area of the overall thumbnail, and we're trying to use at least 1/3 of the overall. Let me see if I can. Give me a second. I'm gonna pull the thumbnail so you can see it. So if you ever need a thumbnail, this is a nice way to do it. You just type img.youtube.com/vi/did/maxresdefault.jpg. I'm gonna post this on the chat so you can have it, and this will pull the full resolution of the thumbnail of any video. So in this case, we're using 1/3 of the vertical space for text, and most of the time, depends on the text, we will not use more than 2/3 of the overall space, because we want to show faces, we want to show reactions. That's the most important. Text is fine, but based on research and studies, pure text is not going to perform as well as just something like this. This one, for example, is a logo and a reaction that is good. George is actually, it's a simplified version of the overall design, but his thumbnails actually follow the same rule, like 2 to 3 lines, 2 to 3 words. 1 or 2 words per line, and always a human face. The way I would like to improve his is making him a little larger. As you can see in this one, you can compare George's actual size with our models in this type of thumbnails. They were like, we're trying to utilize as much real estate on thumbnails as possible. So that is something that you need to, because in George's thumbnails, he has so much space not used. We don't want to like do a clutter of items on a thumbnail, but he still has some space. I mean, he can do faster, like these titles, the faster text can be larger, his actual face and body can be larger. So that kind of stuff I will change about his thumbnails.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. I'm so sorry about the technical issues. I'm not gonna be able to show you the actual interface. I cannot solve the issue of the DaVinci Resolve. It's not the actual DaVinci. I'm pretty sure it's something, again, like something to do with Chrome resources and DaVinci. This is the first time this ever happened to me in over 3 years of usage. So I don't know what's going on, but DaVinci is pretty stable, even more than Premiere most of the time. So let that not to be something that you think about DaVinci as a bad software. That's not a thing. So I'm just going to continue with some key pointers of strategies that you should use while editing your videos. One of the most important issues that I see, the audio levels. Most of the time, the voiceover or the actual voice audio in relation to the background music is just like all over the place. The rule for broadcast is that the audio levels should be no more than -6 decibels. I cannot show you that because I don't have the interface, but I will do a presentation, an offline presentation, a PDF or something like that for you guys, so you can actually see each and every topic that I'm talking about. What I'm saying is we have a scale of minus infinite. Usually the bottom area is -24 decibels, and then you can go all the way to -0, and well, it's not -0, it's just like 0, and that is already way too much. So usually the voiceover audio should be a -6 decibels. Any semi-professional software will actually have an audio meter where you can actually see how high is your volume, and the graphics showing you how high your volume is from green, yellow, and red. And that's for a reason. If your audio is speaking at yellow, it's borderline already too so that means you're like minus. So the loudest pitch should be a -6. I don't know if you know this one, but YouTube, when you upload any type of video, YouTube will auto equalize the audio to be a -6 decibels. So if your audio is way too low, it will raise the volume. If it's too high, it will lower. So that's something that is helping a lot of content creators, but I've seen the raw footage, the video before being uploaded, and it's not good. It's either like way too loud or it's way too low. The background music should be -12 or -22, depends on the music. Sometimes it might have like a super powerful melody, so you need to go all the way to -22. Sometimes it's going to be maybe a classical, so you can go -12. I know this makes almost no sense at all, but just as a quick note on the audio. It will make more sense once I send the presentation. So moving on to the rhythm and flow. This is really important because most of the issues that I've seen with amateur editors is that they just grab one piece of video and then just let it go for 1 minute, 3 minutes, a long time, even clips that are 30 seconds, unless you have a specific reason to be that long. A video clip shouldn't be longer than 3 seconds, so it will be more dynamic. The only reason that you will extend those 3 seconds per clip is because there's an instructional, you're showing something. For example, okay, you're cooking. So if you're cooking, you're just like mixing whatever you're cooking, you're mixing, right? You don't need to show 30 seconds of the mixing of that specific. But if you keep adding ingredients, that clip by itself is changing constantly. So it might seem that it's only one clip, but since it's so dynamic within that clip, you don't need to cut it and just like keep adding different shots or angles or whatever. But again, if you're just like there like pouring I don't know, like salt for 20 seconds, I know it's crazy, but 20 seconds of salt, that doesn't change anything at all, and it's just like annoying. There's no rhythm in the edit. It's just like it's just boring in a way. So what I suggest is every 3 seconds, see if you can actually put a V-roll shot, which is an alternate shot, an alternate angle, so you can actually make your edit a little more dynamic. Hope that makes a little sense in a way.
Emmanuel, yeah, sorry, because some might be still beginner. Do you mind explaining the B-roll for the audience?
Yeah, sure. So when you create content, this is really important. Thanks, Jenny, for pointing that out. When you create content or you're recording video, you need to actually just give me a second. I'm gonna turn on my camera so I can at least you can see me somehow. Can you see me now? I guess you can.
And are you showing something?
Just my camera, but I think it's not gonna show because we're a lot of people in here.
Yeah, I can't see anything.
No, okay.
No.
Well, I'm gonna try to be as descriptive as possible and as quick as possible, so we can actually understand this. So when you record your video, you always have your A-roll or your main shot, which is, let's say you're recording a blog. You're talking about how to edit a video. So your main shot is yourself talking directly to the camera. The V-roll most likely is going to be an alternate shot that will be added to illustrate a specific topic you're talking or break monotony. In this case, you're talking to the camera, you're actually doing an explanation like, okay guys, you're gonna be doing this and these are the steps. Then you will add the V-roll on top of your video, so you will break the monotony of us, the viewer, watching you sitting there talking. So in this case, the V-roll can be maybe a screenshot of your software while you are actually showing while you're editing. Another example would be if you're cooking, you're explaining, okay, in this case, we're going to be cooking this, and that. And while you're explaining the ingredients, your V-shot is like a close-up of each and every ingredient that you are actually mentioning. Again, one of the main purposes, not the only, but one of the main purposes of B-roll is to break monotony and to illustrate whatever you're trying to narrate, which is another issue that I've seen. A lot of people do not take in account the narrative or how the story goes in their videos. Even review products, even technical videos, tutorial guides, all of them has story, all of them. And they need to follow a simple guide. You need to have the beginning, the intro, where you actually explain what's going on, and then you go to the content, the meat of the actual video, and then a conclusion. You need to have like an ending when you actually do like a synopsis or just an overall take of what you just explained. I've seen a lot of tutorials where they just jump around and just try to explain everything, and it's super hard to like follow them. Even blogs, when you're doing a blog, you have a beginning and your end. You might be able to fit in a few keynotes in between, but you need to be sequential. You need to have like a natural development of your story. You cannot start talking about, okay, hello guys, we're gonna be talking about when I took my dog to the veterinarian, and at the end you might be expecting the outcome of you taking the dog to the veterinarian. But in the middle, you cannot start talking, oh yeah, we went to this restaurant on 3 days ago, and then we flew to Italy or whatever. You cannot break that narrative. That flow is really important. That's the basic. I mean, if you want to be experimental, you can, but on a basic rule, I would not recommend that. Let me see, what else do I have? Any questions so far?
No.
I think Lee has a question.
Yeah, I sent my question in the chat box.
Okay, you mentioned earlier that YouTube automatically adjusts audio to -6. It is a recent initiative, or it has been like that? Well, I don't know how long have this been implemented, but the main issue, if the audio is way too low, YouTube is not going to do a lot of adjustment. I don't know how to explain this without graphics, but imagine you have all your audio, all your voiceover is like -10 dB, all of it, and then at the end you have a super high peak that goes -2. That means that for YouTube the highest peak is -2, so there's no changes. They're not going to be equalizing each part independently. So most likely, if you're hearing videos with like poor audio, it's because they might have like peaks. Maybe the intro is way too low, and then the overall narration, or just like the actual content, is way too low. For YouTube, it's just like, you already picked. I cannot like do independent sections. I'm pretty sure that's why, but as far as how long that's been implemented, I wouldn't know. I have no idea. I found out about this maybe 2 or 3 years ago, so I will say it's something that it should be done like more than that, like maybe 5 years ago. But I don't know.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
5 years ago or so, many creators used to have those really loud intros. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's why, because a lot of people are not taking care of the audio. They're just like over clipping, and that's something that, again, a video is half audio, half video or image. You can actually watch a video with awful video quality, but great audio quality, but not vice versa. If the audio it's horrible, you're not gonna be watching that video, even if it's 4K, 8K, it doesn't matter. So audio is super important. So before we end up this like super quick one, and again, I'm so sorry for the technical issues, I'm just gonna explain to you guys the basic structure that we actually use, and I found that is the best way to create content. And it seems to be also the YouTube guidelines for creating content in a way that is going to be easier to digest and yield the best results. So usually it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's going to be 6 sections, but 2 of them is basically the same. So I'm just going to go through each one of those. And again, I was about to explain that on my own videos on the software, but I didn't prepare like a proper presentation because it's going to be hands-on on the software. So I apologize on that one. So the first section is going to be a hook. The hook is the most important part of the video, second to the content. The hook is the first 6 to 10 seconds of each video that you upload, because that's going to sell the idea of why someone will watch that video. The hook usually is going to be a set of questions, a narrative, or just a quick glance of what's up to come. So
for example, let's say you're searching for how to fix your car, so the hook of that specific video will be like, are you having troubles trying to fix this and that, kind of like an infomercial without the high pitch and that kind of stuff, but you actually need to relate and try to answer or just engage with the audience in those first 10 seconds. Maybe try to explain a little what's going to be the content. In gaming, it's a little different because the hook is usually the best moment of the gameplay. So if you have an epic explosion, if you have like a super fail or whatever, just grab that specific moment and put it at the beginning. I mean, considering it's going to be 6 to 10 seconds, I wouldn't go more than 10 seconds, to be honest. And that's going to be the hook. Can it be longer? Yes, it can. But it needs to be justifiable to go like over 10 seconds. Maybe it's a super stressful situation and someone is gonna kill you in the game, so you need to explain that whole situation. But so far, it's just like I just read that it's hook, HOOK. So in that specific case, you can just like grab whatever you already had in the video and just put it up front. That's how gaming hooks usually work. Another one that is not so conventional is a giveaway hook. I'm not fond of those, but again, that's something that is useful if you have actually a giveaway. You can say or promote anything like, hey guys, like in this video, we're going to be talking about this, and that. And thanks to the sponsor, we're going to be giving away something at the end of this video or during the video. So keep watching. So that's another hook, but it's more like a sponsor product placement hook. It is valid. I don't recommend that because again, it's shallow, it's so superficial. So it's better just to try to be as relatable to the viewer as possible. Try to ask those questions that the viewer might be asking while searching for your content, like how to cook a perfect soup. And then your hook will be, hey, like, are you having troubles to cook the perfect soup? In this video, we're going to be talking the 3 steps on how to prepare this amazing soup. That's the hook. So then you will have an opener. This is not a specific section, but an opener is the animation intro that you might be seeing on some videos, on some channels. It is not 100% mandatory, but it's really good for your visual branding. You get your users used to that specific logo, animation, and it's just, for them, it just feels familiar when they see that. If your content is quality and they will relate that feeling, if they had a good time on the previous video, that also reinforces the branding. And when they see that video, I mean, that opener, they might be feeling the same situation or the same emotions than the previous video. Of course, if you don't deliver on the content, that sentiment might change. But again, for visual branding, is super important. The duration for an opener should not be more than 6 seconds. It can be 3 seconds. It's just like the logo. Maybe it's like your logo doing some kind of flip or whatever. It can be as simple as just like a fade in, fade out with your channel name. It can be yourself, like, hey guys, welcome to my channel. Let's get into it. And that's something that is your brand. That's also valid, but it needs to be kind of similar every single time, so that will be your visual branding. Then we have the intro. The intro is you expand a little more on what you're gonna see. I wouldn't go more than 20 seconds, to be honest. If you can keep it below 10 seconds, that's going to be awesome. Maybe the intro, most of the time it's going to be an introduction for new viewers, like, hey guys, this is my channel, I do this and that, and in this video we're going to be talking about this and that. The most important point, or the key points on, or the key difference between the hook and the intro, is that you should never recycle what you did, say, or show over the hook, because then it's going to be repetitive. And the viewer might be like, disappointed that the first thing they're watching is just like the same thing they already watched. So be careful on that. Sometimes I've seen creators that they have a great hook, but they just recycle. They say the same things. Like if we go back to the soup example, in the intro they might be saying the exact same thing, just adding like the ingredients. Maybe they're gonna say like, oh, and in this case we're gonna be using like the ingredient 1, 2, and 3, but the previous 10 seconds of the introduction is exactly the same, or roughly the same. Let's try to avoid that. Best practice for the intro is explain why they should be watching that video instead. So you already have the hook, you have their attention, retain them, or just like send them into the right direction, and just set the expectation about the soup. Maybe you're gonna be like talking about the overall cost. Maybe you're gonna be talking about the tools that you're gonna be needing. Something quick. So it's going to be, again, sequential in a way that is a narrative that the viewer is going to be enjoying. After you deliver the intro, you have the content. This is easy. The content can be a set of different ways. It can be like a blog type. It can be like a, oh man, I can go on and on, but the most useful and used format is the list format. Top 1, 2, 3, 4, like 3 ways of doing this, 10 things of doing this. That is the most common, and that's the most viewed, and might be the most the best performer of all the type of content. You can go with something more like a blog, which is fine. It's just like talking about your day. But it's just like a little more easy if you go into a number list. Usually it's going to be, if it's a product review, you can actually do product review on a number list format, where you can talk about the top 10 features, top 10 things that you need to know about this, and that. That doesn't need to be the title of the video, but the format of the content can be a list as well. Something super important, which is not a specific section, but it's the call to actions. I've seen a lot of call to actions at the beginning of the videos. Don't do that, because why someone, or even think about yourself, how many times have you actually clicked subscribe on a video that you haven't even watched the content? They might have good quality on visuals and audio, but the content is why you are there. So what I recommend is any call to action that is more aggressive, that like actually pausing the content and doing the shout out, that should be done at the middle of the content, because you already delivered some kind of content. The viewer already have some kind of experience of what the content is, especially if it's a new viewer. They will know, okay, this person actually delivers, the content is good. Maybe they are forgetting to subscribe for any reason. That's fine. But the call to action should be after you deliver some kind of content, some kind of promise that you actually promise on the hook and the intro. Then you can continue with the content, and then you have your ending thoughts, where everything is just like an overall idea of what you just talked. And then you have another call to action, but these call to actions are more for engagement. You can actually do the call to action to subscribe, like, and that stuff, but this is a perfect time, if you haven't done that through the video, to engage with the content viewers. Ask some questions related to your actual video, like in this case, in this example, the soup, like, okay, what other ingredients would you recommend? Do you have another steps to do this? Do you have another tools that we should be using? Leave it in the comments. So that way you can actually engage when the viewer is in a state of mind that they actually liked or disliked the video. But that time they might be like, yeah, I don't think that those steps are the best steps. So when you actually trigger them with a question, they might be more leaning to actually comment and engage. And after that call to action, you have your end card, which is super important. You should never forget how to or implement your end card, which is the last 20 seconds where you can actually put the subscribe button and maybe 2 recommended videos. I don't recommend more than 3 videos per end screen, but it's up to you. I think the subscribe icon and 2 extra videos as a recommendation on the last 20 seconds, that should be enough. And those 2 recommended videos, which are the best ones, is the last video that you uploaded and the one that is recommended for the viewer. That is something that YouTube will choose based on the actual user's profile, and they will design, YouTube will assign that specific video to that viewer. It's going to be different for each viewer. So that's the overall structure. Another key point that I will suggest is always do a watermark. It can be your logo somewhere, maybe a corner, just like 30% opacity. It's just going to be something that is going to be just in there. Again, it's just a reminder that that's your content, just in case your content appears on Facebook or TikTok or whatever, by any chance you have the watermark. My recommendation is to put it in the center, like the example that I show you on my channel, which is the website is on top and the logo is at the bottom, because I've seen people grab in my videos and put them in the vertical format. It will trim the sides but not the center, so the watermark is more likely to stay there if they switch to those platforms. And that's probably most of the basic stuff that is not covered on basic videos on YouTube. So I don't know if you have any questions so far.
None for me, Emmanuel.
All right.
Good.
So I'm going to be working on the offline presentation. Again, this was supposed to be a little more interactive. I should be like, I don't know what happened, but it was going to be a little more visual than this. So I apologize on that one. If you have any follow-ups, questions or whatever, you can send those to me. So before we end this session, I do have 2 more questions from Ron. So you asked, Ron, what is the best software for audio and video editing for newbies like me who have very minimal editing experience? I will suggest, if you're gonna learn something from scratch, just go head on to DaVinci, or if you have the money to pay for Adobe subscription and you enjoy that software, do it. I will suggest DaVinci Resolve because that's the most professional one. And it might look a little intimidating, but the basic functions is just like accessible as any others. So if you have no experience at all, just go to DaVinci Resolve. And then the other question that you had is how do we set up a webcam for OBS and audio editing? I didn't understand the question as in, are you asking how to record using OBS and later on edit that footage?
Yep, that's correct.
I see.
Like
So
taking a footage on the webcam and trying to edit the audio using OBS.
I see. But you're pertaining only audio or audio and video editing?
Audio and video would be good. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that might be on another session, how to use OBS, because that will require a little of more explanation and actually show you how to do it. But I'm pretty sure, I mean, on a high level, you just, when you have OBS, you will load your source cam, which in this case is going to be your camera.
Yeah.
The settings, I mean, we should go through the basic of which settings are the optimal for that kind of project. But assuming that you actually have the settings right, you hit record, and once you stop the recording, you will get a video file.
Okay.
And once you get the video file, then you import it to Adobe Premiere, DaVinci Resolve, or whatever software based on the steps that I explained before. So that's probably the most critical part on the OBS question is the settings, the proper settings.
Yeah, the setting.
So I will do a follow-up on that one with you and maybe share with everybody so they will have that one. I'm pretty sure there might be a tutorial on YouTube, a quick and dirty, like right to the point, so I can share that with you guys.
Okay.
So I think we are good. If you have any questions, feel free to chat me or send me an email. If you need another session for something else, or if you're willing to give another shot and try to see the basic of editing using the actual software, we can do like a sample project, like a super real quick one, maybe next week. But I will coordinate with Jenny. Part 2, please. Yeah.
Lee wants more, Emmanuel.
All right.
And then she's gonna ask for part 3.
Yeah, right. No, I mean, the thing with editing is just like it's a lot to learn, but I mean, the best thing you can do is start now. If it's something you want to do because of freedom, that's fine. That's good because that's required to know. But this skill set that will help you a lot on the future. Like it might be like someone's wedding or whatever, like they have like phone videos or whatever, they don't want to pay for an editor. You can just actually gather all that footage and just like edit as a project. Can be like your own blog or vacation videos. You can actually do that. So think about a skill that will actually help you personally in more motivation that knowing it because freedom requires it. I will say it's a really good skill to get.
Agree. Yeah.
Yes. Right. Thank you so much for your time, Emmanuel. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, you too for your times. And again, sorry for the technical issues, but there's so little I can do about that. So.
No, it's all well. We've taken down the 6 sections. That would be very helpful.
All right. Okay. So thank you for your time and talk to you later.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Emmanuel.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.